Storytime with Duane Moore. Guest Jacqueline Russo. Podcast episode 2.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to my second episode of this podcast. I hope this is a ongoing thing. I don't know if it will be. Hopefully, it is. And I don't know if I'm going to continue to say the number of the podcast, but for now, that's what I'm doing. So the theme of my podcast is sharing and preserving stories. A lot of people have great stories that maybe they just tell their friends and family. And if they choose to tell people publicly, this is the place for it. And I think I got a lot of guests lined up that have great, unique stories. You know, some are veterans, some are civilians, but regardless, they're great stories. And I get a lot of, hearing them. So today, the theme is going to be USC, good old University of Southern California. That is where we currently are at. We're at the Annenberg building. And today's guest, her name is Jacqueline. And I'm going to just let her introduce herself. So Jacqueline, please go ahead. It's all yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I'm happy to be on your podcast. I'm Jacqueline. I am a 32-year-old digital media management student here at Annenberg. I am in the master's program here with Duane. That's how we met and connected, and now here we are. I'm guesting on his podcast, so off to a great start.
Yeah, thanks. So I'll go from our first question is, there's a lot of schools in Southern California. I mean, there's a ton of them. Why USC? Why not like UCLA or Stanford up north?
Because I have taste. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Totally, kind of. No, USC, I've always been a USC fan. Well, started out with my dad. My dad has always been a USC fan. He wanted to go there. He ended up going to college in Utah. But ever since I was growing up, he always watched USC football. So I just grew up watching it. It was always a dream of mine to go to USC. I just didn't know exactly in which avenue I wanted to go to. So in high school, I applied here. Actually, I didn't even end up applying. I came here, toured here for the campus tour, and I wanted to go to the Thornton School of Music because I thought I wanted to do music production. I don't have any musical talents whatsoever. I don't play any instruments, but I just like music, and I knew how to make a mix CD back in the day. I aged myself, but anyways. And so I came here, toured it, and I was applying against other students that had written symphonies, played multiple instruments.
Can I just stop you for 1 second? I don't know what a symphony is. So when you say somebody wrote a symphony, you're saying...
They composed every instrument of a orchestra to create, in high school. And I was applying against them. And I'm like, I know how to download music off LimeWire and burn a CD and put it on my iPod. Yeah, like also Napster. Aging myself. Yeah,
it's all right.
LimeWire and Napster. But that's about it. So I realized that might not be the avenue for me. But nevertheless, I still wanted to go to USC, but I ended up going to fashion school at the Art Institute and went to fashion marketing and management, graduated with my Bachelor of Science from there in 2016. And then in 2018, I applied back at USC to the USC School of Cinematic Arts. And that is the most competitive school at USC. Undergrad accepts about 28 people a year, and I think the master's program I was applying to accepts 60. And so...
Yeah, I remember looking at like just a percentage of numbers, and it was like 3%. I'm like, 3% of what?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, that's a really low number.
And I happened to apply at the most populated, but the most applicants, the year the most applicants had ever applied in history of that program. So, of course, so then I still applied. I went through with it. I thought that's what I wanted to do. I loved making videos, loved filmmaking, and editing stuff for my own clothing line. So that's how I got into it. But then I submitted my application, and then I saw the other applicants' submissions, and I realized once again I was out of my league completely, and I was shocked. I was like, what camera did you guys use? Did Steven Spielberg direct this for you? Is George Lucas behind this? These are amazing. No wonder. So yeah, gladly take my spot. So.
How did you get to see their submissions?
Everyone uploaded them on YouTube.
Oh.
And so not everyone, but a few people would upload their submissions. So I was looking at them for inspiration, but also to see my competition. And everyone also puts either accepted or rejected, like applied to USC, applied to NYU Film School, accepted, and applied to USC Film School, rejected in the caption.
Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah, so
Oh,
they'll let
wow.
you know. Yeah, it's a whole thing on YouTube. You can find a lot of student submissions. But yeah, once I saw their videos, I was like, oh man, I am out of my league yet again. So it took me a couple years. Once again, I took a break from school, and then back in 2023, I think was when we applied. But I was actually, funny enough, digitally media targeted with a targeted ad on LinkedIn for the DMM program, or Digital Media Management program here at USC. And I thought, why not apply? This seems exactly what I'm interested in, what my background's in, and something I would love to do. So yeah, I applied for the third time, and I was pleasantly surprised that I had gotten accepted.
So, kind of want to ask you about that. Like, what was the application process like? And obviously, you got in.
Yeah.
And then, if you can tell us more of like where you were when you saw that you got accepted.
Yeah. So the application process was, I had already had experience because I did apply to the USC School of Cinematic Arts, so I knew what they required, and there was a couple different supplemental materials like the personal statement. I was really nervous about that because the one I submitted before was, for the film school, I went with a very abstract route, and I was very artsy with my personal statement. It was very, like, I thought I was, I don't know, some...
Did you speak like you were like from British or something?
No, more
not
like,
British, England.
More like, I don't know what I was speaking like. I was like, I am an enigma. I am no one. And like, yeah, just very poet. Like, I don't know who I thought. I was like writing slam poetry for my personal statement. So I was no wonder they didn't accept me, but it's okay. So for this next time, I was like, let me just be real and write a normal personal statement. I think that's what they're looking for. And it's just was a story about yourself and your background and your experiences. And then I also, funny enough, we had to write like a writing sample. So my writing sample was about the Kardashians and how they and their marketing geniusness. So I
Really?
Yeah, and
that's interesting.
The Kardashian effect is what I called it. And so just basically, I've always been fascinated with them and their marketing genius brains, and how they've always had their finger on the pulse when it comes to marketing and branding, and they've just done such a good job of it. So love them or hate them, you can't deny their impact on... That was my closing line of my personal or my writing sample was, love them or hate them, you cannot deny their impact and shift they've had on multiple industries. So they've changed the retail's industry from they're selling products directly onto social media. They've changed the fashion industry. They changed the beauty industry because they've changed even body image, for how it used to be very stick skinny girls were the body image everyone wanted, and then they came along and they changed that. And
they're known for being very voluptuous. I can say that.
Exactly. But that was a body type that wasn't normally highlighted pre-Kardashian. So, like I said, love them or hate them, they're controversial, they're polarizing figures, but Kris Jenner is a marketing genius.
And I really agree with that, because everyone in America knows who the Kardashians are. So if everyone knows in America who they are, then you can probably say that for most of the world. And the one thing is, if you look at the history, right, Robert Kardashian, is that the dad?
Their father, yeah.
Their father, he was one of the defense lawyers for OJ.
Yeah.
And I grew up in LA, and as a teen, that those 2 years where from the chase happened to the time the trial happened, I mean, you can also trace it back to OJ.
Yeah.
Right? But just because at some point, like let's look at Kato Kaelin.
Yeah.
Kato Kaelin was very popular, but he didn't grow out of being Kato Kaelin, the guy that rented a room at OJ's house. But the Kardashians were able to, like you said, like become this big entity.
Yeah, they've created
industry.
an empire, and I think there's other things that happened that we won't go into of why they got their fame, but that does also speak volumes, is turning that situation of that into a multi-billion-dollar empire where they have multi-billion-dollar companies. Skims now is valued at I think $4 billion. Good American is sold, and Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, everything Chloe's brand, and then Kylie Cosmetics sold for billions of dollars. So I wrote all that in my personal statement. But yeah, It was a little bit of a risk because I do know people have their opinions on the Kardashians, but this digital media management program really focuses on marketing and shifting in the culture, and they really had an impact on it. So yeah, I thought, but after I applied, yeah, that's when the nerves kicked in, I think.
And that's great, because that's actually what I'm gonna ask you next. So, granted, this is a master's program. It's maybe feels different from when you're applying from high school, but as someone that went through the process myself, I beg to differ because I was really nervous. So when you hit apply, like, how long was it until you got the letter, and were you like checking your I don't know, whatever website refreshing it,
portal,
like
yeah.
every 30 seconds, you know?
I think actually, I think I was more nervous now that I'm remembering and thinking back on it. It is kind of all of blur because it happened. It felt like it happened quickly, and also the time has also flown by. But it feels like it was just. It feels like it was just yesterday, but it also feels like it was like forever ago. So I remember applying and getting everything done was more stressful. But then once I hit submit, I think I kind of just said let go and let the universe take it from here. If I get in, I get in, and I just remember telling myself, like, if I get in, amazing, and if I don't get in, then my life is exactly the same as it is now. However, now having gotten in, I realize this is the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I don't know what I've done. But if I didn't get in, but that was kind of the mindset I had to put myself in, just so I didn't get disappointed or anything like that. So yeah, because I had been rejected from here before, so I didn't want to get my expectations up too high. But yeah, I think I kind of just remember being stressed out about it and then being like, okay, I have to wait months. This isn't going to work for being anxiety ridden for these months. Let me just let go. It's in the universe's hands and the admissions committee's hands. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, I tried. So that's all I can do. But yeah, it was definitely a nerve-wracking experience.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I don't know. It just is for people that have never gone through that process, or maybe you're on the outside and you've seen friends that have gone through a process. You know, because I used to be that guy. I'm like, what's the big deal? Like, whatever, you know. But I obviously look at things different now.
Yes.
So where were you when you found out that you got accepted?
Oh, I was actually, I believe, in traffic with my mom in the car. And I was checking my portal, and I remember getting a notification on my email, and I was like, I had kept refreshing, thinking, oh, is this it? And then I got the email that definitely said it was it. I was like, oh my gosh. So I opened it, and like, I just remember repeating, no way, no way, no way, no way, no way. But yeah, it was on my phone. So I didn't get the confetti from my laptop. I didn't know that was an option.
Oh.
Yeah. But
okay.
There's different packages I've seen of people getting accepted. Sometimes they send you a folder. Sometimes they send you an email with confetti. I just opened it on my phone, so it was just an email, but I didn't need the confetti. I was...
What was the first word congratulations, or was it, if you remember?
I feel like I still have the letter screenshotted on my phone or printed out in my room, but I think it's like, we are pleased to inform you. And that, like... I was just like, no way, please to inform me of
what?
And then I had to do a double take, like, please to inform me that you processed my application. And then I was like, that you've been accepted. And I was just like, no way. And I was trying to show my mom. She's like, I can't read it, I'm driving. But yeah, and I was like, I got it. And she was like, no way. And then I think we called my dad right after and let him know the news.
Wow, that's awesome. And I just want to say that's like the perfect recipe for a crash, right? Like, hey, look, I got in to USC.
My mom was being a very responsible driver,
That's
and
good.
she said, I can't read that right now. Also, the font was really small, so she was like, I cannot read that at all. And also, I'm driving, so I'll read it after, but I read it out loud to her, I think, and then we called my dad. So it was all good things, and it was very exciting times.
And what was his response? Because I think he said like he kind of gave you the idea. Cause he was a big fan.
Yeah, he was over the moon, ecstatic, and yeah, he just couldn't believe it. And every day they're still proud. So it was a big milestone and a big accomplishment for myself, but also I think my dad is like so happy that he always wanted to go to USC, like I said, but he went to a college in Utah. So not quite the same.
and you know, this is what's interesting about USC, right? Just basic numbers. The past few years, we've only accepted 10% of applicants.
Wow.
And the past, so 90% get rejected.
Yeah.
And I think the past 2 or 3 years, there's been over 80,000 applicants. I'm speaking for an undergrad program. But if you think about the 90% that got rejected, you're looking at people that have really tried and worked hard at school.
Yeah.
So, while there is like no magic bullet or essay or friend to get in,
Yeah.
It does somewhat come down to luck too, I believe. But of course, you have to work hard and show, through merit that I've done these, really well in my old school. I guess my point is that's the number is 10%. But when you stop to think about the other 90%, those people are not bums.
Yeah, no,
they're not.
Yeah, no,
So it's
not
like,
at
holy
all.
crap.
Yeah, it is competitive, and it gets, I feel like, more competitive every year. But also, I think that it's a dream school for so many people.
It is.
And so that also, like, brings more applicants and more people want to come here, and just the name of USC itself.
The name of USC, the location, like I get it, like we're around like the hood or whatever, but
people don't see it like that.
people
at all.
don't see it like that. I mean, the beach is not too far from here.
No, it's in the epicenter of like downtown Los Angeles.
Downtown LA is just right there.
Yeah, so I don't think people who we're from California, so we know like it's really like near South Central, but other people are like, it's in Los Angeles, the city of dreams, city of angels. You're right in the epicenter. But yeah, UCLA is in Brentwood.
Yeah, the hood.
Yeah, Brentwood.
The hood. So kind of pivoting subjects here, but still staying on with USC.
Yeah.
I guess before I ask the question, I don't know, maybe I'll say it, but I'm surprised at how well branded USC is as a school in media and amongst the students.
Mm-hmm.
Like we wear a lot of USC stuff. So it's surprised that I'm not wearing anything today. But she is. So my question is, were you surprised at how well branded USC is? Because for me, the answer is yes. And I'll explain on that a little bit more after your answer.
I think actually wasn't surprised, because
Really?
that's one of the reasons I love USC is their branding and their attention to detail. And that when I went to undergrad, I went for fashion marketing and management. So we talked a lot about branding. And so I pay a lot attention to a lot of different schools, every company's branding and how they could improve their branding or and USC does it like no other. There is not a detail missed on campus. The buttons in the elevator have SC logo on them.
That's true.
There's, in the crosswalks for the bike path, the little guy on the bike has a USC Trojan helmet. I'm not sure the actual term for it, but the helmet that the Trojan...
I couldn't tell you what that's called.
It has like... It looks like kind of like a broom on top, but it's not a broom. But there's definitely... it's like a, Trojan soldier helmet. But they have that on the bike guy, and they don't miss a detail, even in our... multimedia materials for the DMM program. We get these little videos, and every little graphic has a USC thing right on it. It'll say "Fight On," or they don't miss a detail. So everything about the branding, and even my family members who are all UCLA people, they are not USC fans at all. They have admitted that no one does branding like USC. So I think that says something, because it takes a lot for a UCLA person to say something nice and positive about USC, but vice versa.
So the way I came to understand that, like I'm from LA, I currently live down in San Diego. So every person that I saw with, some USC gear, I'm like, fight on. Sometimes people would say something and sometimes they won't. And as time went on and realized, no, they're SC fans. Doesn't mean they went to the school. And in my mind, I'm like, why are people wearing stuff in a school that they didn't go to?
Yeah.
But that's how powerful the scale and the reach of USC is. There's celebrities that never went here. They're not Trojans, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you can see them at courtside in games wearing SC gear. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, so I live down in San Diego. Down in San Diego, we have... SDSU, San Diego State University, University of San Diego, USD, and UCSD, University of California, San Diego. And I can tell you, I don't see that many people around there wearing their school gear.
Yeah.
You know.
And I don't think I see that many people wearing. I see more people wearing UCLA stuff, but if you go to Balboa Island in Newport Beach, the whole island everyone has a USC flag.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's funny, but it's kind of become almost like more than just a school. It's become a brand, and it is a brand, and
It's a huge brand.
Yeah, it's a huge brand, and so I think that's just the genius of the branding of USC, and like no one has done it quite like them, or can do it like them. I always say like UCLA needs to take notes. They don't even have their blues right. They need to get it. And they used to be baby blue. Now they're going with a more like a cerulean blue. And I'm like, they need to get it together. No, I talk a lot of smack on UCLA, but it's in our contracts as USC students.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, it's really, it's really incredible because if you think about it, like the branding is so strong, and then a young kid like would see USC maybe like on their friends or family, and that could put that in their mind, and then they could end up wanting to go to USC many years later. So it's really shocking, but it's great.
I think that's kind of what happened when I was younger, is that I grew up in Southern California. USC has always been a Southern California team. It's like the epitome of California.
Southern California.
Southern California. Yeah, sorry, not Northern California. They will hate me for that, but so no, definitely like just the epitome kind of dream school for any kid that grew up. Maybe not everyone that grew up in Southern California, but for me personally, that's like also another thing that drew me to it, was just the name that they've like grown for themselves and that have put out into the world is like unmatched, and I'm like, it's almost like a celebrity kind of.
It is.
Like I think it's because of LA and everything, but it's almost like.
But on the flip side, UCLA is not very Hollywood in that regard.
No,
I
don't know what they're doing over there.
But
they have so much potential.
They do. But look at it this way also. For the basketball fans out there, we got two LA teams here, the Lakers and the Clippers.
Oh yeah.
One is very Hollywood.
Yeah, that's true.
And of course, talking about the Lakers, and the weird thing about the Lakers is sometimes there's highlights that happen from a game, and it's not even about the damn game. It's LeBron confronting Stephen A. Smith.
Oh yeah, I actually saw that.
You saw that, right?
I didn't watch the game, but I did see LeBron confronting him about him talking about Bronny,
about his son, and it's a really weird effect. And I'm not going to stand up about the Lakers, but all I'm saying is on the flip side, the Clippers have been a historically good team. I think in the past 15 years they've won more games against the Lakers, but they don't get very far in the playoffs. So I don't think they get the Hollywood effect, right?
Yeah, they don't have it. Yeah.
But they're literally for a long time they played in the same.
Yeah, I used to have tickets to the season tickets to the Clippers games, but they weren't like the Lakers. Like, yeah, we were like, we wanted season tickets to the Lakers, but we didn't want to pay for that.
I know.
But yeah, so it is like a Hollywood kind of team, and I feel like it's the Hollywood effects, the same thing as USC.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. And just one last thing on basketball. Women's basketball is growing.
Oh yeah.
And unfortunately Juju got hurt, but I mean she's made a name for herself, and she's with USC.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. And she's a homegrown like LA girls too. So it's like, I think if you grew up around here and you know like how much USC means to people, and just like we don't have that many in LA. There's not a lot of fan bases that are like diehard fans, other than I feel like the Dodgers, the Lakers, and I don't know, maybe I'm offending a lot of fan bases right now, but because I don't watch sports, but I feel like we never had an LA football team like for a while until now. It's the Chargers and down in San Diego, and now we have the Rams, but for a while they were St. Louis, so we didn't really have a football team. So I think like USC football became LA's football team.
That's a good point.
And so for a long time,
fill in that gap.
Yeah, it filled that gap, and so it created such a huge fan base. And like when you think of USC, you think of football. When you think of UCLA, you do think of basketball. For some reason, you don't think of football. I don't know. Sorry, but USC.
Do they even have a football team? Right?
UCLA. I guess you could. I mean, they call it that, but no. They call it that.
I drew a blank there for a second. I'm like, they must.
No, yeah.
They're in our
UCLA? Yeah. We have a huge rivalry with them.
Oh yeah, see, God, I told you, I drew a blank. It's been a long day.
It's okay. Yes.
It's all good, but yeah. Look, I'd love to keep talking about this, but I just want to kind of
Yeah.
pivot again. So can you tell us about the DMM program, this digital media management program? I'm obviously in the program, and I still to this day have a hard time explaining it to people. So how would you explain it to people?
I too have a hard time explaining it to people. The program itself has been life changing, but we learn everything from, I think people minimize it to just social media marketing or just social media management, and that is a component of it, but I've learned so much more. I explain it to like not so tech savvy people as I'm doing anything marketing on a screen. So advertising like through social media, advertising
That's good. Well, you said any marketing through
through
a screen. Yeah.
Yeah, just
That's
to
awesome.
explain it to like boomers and stuff.
It's fine. You got to throw them under the bus like that.
Or not so tech savvy people, because I'm like digital media management, and they're like, I don't know what that means, and I'm like, well, just marketing on a screen.
Yeah.
So basically, in a nutshell, but there's a lot. It's a lot more complex than just marketing on a screen, and like we're talking about disruptions, we talk about AI and everything, and how AI is changing all these different industries. It's gonna change even more, but we also talk about, like martech and ad tech, which I never knew about, and building that sort of thing, analytics. And
That's marketing technology and advertising technology. There's a lot of companies that are in that realm that I didn't know about.
yeah, I had no idea about that. So it's really been an eye-opening program that I've learned so much, but it's all fascinating because it's something I'm interested in, and it doesn't feel like school in a way. It feels like I'm just learning stuff I'm interested in, and so it's been a great experience, and definitely the best thing ever.
Yeah, and just to kind of go off on this, because I'm also in the DMM program, and I could say it's changed the way I looked at society because we know of infrastructures as buildings,
Yeah.
right? But the phone and the network, that's an infrastructure in itself, and this phone moves you around in the physical world. So it's interesting that it has so much effect on you, and I just want to say that when I was reading about the program, because I was interested in it, talked about ethics a lot, and I'm like, who gives, who cares about ethics?
Yeah.
But you realize when there's bias in AI, it just perpetuates that bias, and people read that content. If they don't fact check it, then they take it to be reality, which is bad, right? So I don't want to go too much into that, but for you, has the program changed the way you look at society?
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely. I before was scared of like getting targeted ads, and I'd think like, oh, they're in my phone, they're listening to me, like, and in a way they are, but it's not as creepy or as scary as it sounds when you get targeted ads. They are specific and they are good, but I find them helpful now, whereas before I'm like, oh my god, this is so creepy, they're in my phone, they're listening. I do get them pretty quickly, and there are a lot of them, but it also has just changed the way that I think about everything now. Before, as a, like, for example, content creator, I would have never thought like, include closed captioning on all of our content, because there are people who with accessibility issues or anything like that cannot watch our content. I never thought about those sort of things. I never thought about just the way that the impact of social media has had on society as a whole, the way it's disrupted.
huge.
And it's huge. Just so much more that I feel like I could do a whole episode just talking about every class that we've had. But it's really been life-changing, and all the professors are so full of knowledge, and they just like, I just want to like pick their brain, and I'm like, how did you get so smart? Like, I need to know, please teach me your ways. But yeah, they're all very accomplished, and I just like, it's very inspiring to see that, and it just changed my whole perspective on not only myself or not only society, but also myself, and how I can be in this world, and how can I like contribute, and just like what one of our professors says is always be thinking about what's next. And I've really taken that with me. And another professor, like just little things that they're saying, I've taken with me, like answering a question with "it depends."
Yeah, it depends.
And you don't have.
But that's a great answer.
It's a great answer because it always does depend.
It really does.
And anything. But yeah, I think we're just going to see more and more technology rising, and it's exciting to be on the inside of it, at the forefront of it, and just kind of learning like what's coming next. But there is uncertainty within tech and within AI, and that does get scary. But being in this program has like made it so much less scary and made it like, okay, this is not as, it's not some big scary entity that's like after us and we want your data. They do want our data, but like,
yes, and there's
so much data. I learned mainly that there's so much data that they don't care about little fish data. It's just like, okay,
fish, what do you mean?
Well, like as like a metaphor, like like, you know, compared to like, you know, little fish in a big
got it,
yeah,
you know, like I like literally thought
they
of
have
fish.
bigger fish to fry is what I was getting at, but they do collect everyone's data, which is inevitable. But
they do, and one of our classmates said it, and she didn't create the saying, but it's like, if you know, if you're not paying for it, then you're a product.
Oh,
right. They're taking your data.
It's from the Secret Dilemma or Social Dilemma.
Oh, the Social Dilemma. Yeah,
I always say that if you're not paying for the product, then you are the product.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite things to quote. So,
man, it's scary. You know, one thing I've also gotten out of the program, because look, we're in Southern California, right? Like I've said it earlier, I live down in San Diego, and I can see Mexico from my place, and there is this big Tijuana sewage crisis, right? So it's been going on for a long time, and come to find out, the reason they can't fix it is because people build houses in Tijuana, and they don't put their sewage plumbing to the infrastructure of the city.
Oh.
They just route it to the street, which goes to the ocean.
Yikes.
I can see this country from my place.
Oh gosh.
Right, and this is almost like third world country kind of behavior, and I'm in my place. I'm like, man, I got like all these screens and stuff. So it's really shown me that it kind of reemphasized that, you know, America is a very powerful country, right? Like, look at all these things and the way we live, because we would not live like that, right? Like that, like, no, like, don't run your dirty sewage out of your house and not into the city, but that's what they do. And there's a lot of sewage like that out there. So what I'm saying is a program like this is on a cutting edge of a kind of a cutting edge country in a way, right? Like only a country like ours, very westernized, everyone has smartphones, can this program occur in, and can people take something out of it, because so many of the citizens in that country tie into it, right? You can't find, when was the last time you saw an American with a flip phone because they couldn't afford a smartphone, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's been a while. But yeah, no, that's great. And kind of just to wrap things up, we're actually, you know, just a little short on time, but probably my last question for you is, what's next for you? I know you finish this program soon.
Yes, I am, to be completely honest, not exactly sure what I want to do. I've been doing branding consulting for people, so working on that, but just creative things. And the goal is to basically get a job with a dream company in LA and move to LA. But the main focus right now is pass this Photoshop exam. and
it's harder than you think.
Yeah. So that's my actual main goal, and I have kind of blinders on right now. I'm like, focus on Photoshop, and then graduation. I'm more worried about Photoshop than graduation. I'm like, because I like these classes, but Photoshop is the hardest class I've ever taken. and in the master's program, Photoshop is the hardest master's class. And it's not a requirement for graduation.
It's not a requirement. I'm in a class with you as well, and I know what you mean. It's just, you know, I don't think we know what to expect from the test, which makes it harder.
Yeah.
But we've gotten a lot of great information.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that sounds like a great plan, you know, and it's absolutely okay to not know what your next steps are, like at least in detail, right?
Yeah, I have an idea for my capstone. I had actually one idea that I thought was going to be my idea for sure, and I just kind of came up with I had an epiphany like 2 days ago for my capstone, but I'm still workshopping it, so I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but has to do with AI. That's all I'm going to say. Wow. And like, I have a name for it, so if I have a name for it, I just thought it was clever AI, but I'm not going to give it away. So
No.
I'll copyright it first,
Yeah.
and then I'll let the viewers, or I mean listeners, know what it is, or you'll see it out, and the goal is, but yeah, you'll see it out in the world. So yeah, capstone and Photoshop is basically what's next, and then graduation, or graduation and then capstone.
Yeah,
technically.
which is next month.
Yes.
I've jokingly said to people, well, mainly myself, that I want to create an AI that runs all the AIs, so it's the king of AI,
The AI,
the AI king.
King of AI. Yeah, that's
And I'll be a billionaire when I come up with this app that runs all these other AI apps.
we're going places. I can see
We're
it
going
for you.
places, yeah.
Yes, it's in the future.
I know, and it's not too far from now. But
No.
yeah, we're kind of short on time today, but I want to say thank you so much for appearing on this podcast. I
Oh
mean,
yes, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great place for storytelling, and as a wannabe actor, director, filmmaker, whatever. This is a format of storytelling, so it might not be behind a camera, but getting these stories out there, and you did a great job sharing your story of how you get to USC, of applying and being rejected and just continuing, and it worked out for you.
Yes. So my message to whoever's listening is that it might not work the first time or the second time, but just keep trying if it's really something you want. I mean, I started in high school when I was 17, and I didn't get in until I was 31. So it's never too late to just keep going, keep trying, and if it doesn't, maybe it's not the right fit, but if it's your dream school or your dream job, keep going for it and don't give up. But that's my message.
No,
I'll leave you
absolutely.
with that.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. That's a great message, and we're gonna end it here. So, bye, guys. Peace. Take care. That's what I always say on Instagram.
Fight on.
Yeah, or fight on. Could be peace or fight on.
Yes.